This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert with 5 things you need to know for this Wednesday, November 27th, 2024. First, a program note. Tomorrow being the start of the Thanksgiving weekend holiday here in the United States, we won't have a program on Thursday or Friday this week. We will be back Monday next week, God willing. And just a heads up, next week's schedule may be a little spotty because we're taking part in the Prophecy Watchers Branson Christmas Prophecy Conference, which gets underway next week, Thursday. But in between Monday and Thursday, I've got 2 follow-up appointments for my surgery, including a CT scan on Tuesday. So we'll do the best we can to keep you informed next week, but just giving you a heads up, next week's schedule may be a little inconsistent. Item number 5 today, Israel. The ceasefire didn't last very long. The ceasefire deal brokered by the United States and France, Joe Biden taking credit for it, didn't really last very long. It began at 8 p.m. Central Time here in the United States, 4 a.m. Israel time, and within a few hours, IDF forces Wednesday morning had to respond to a ceasefire violation by Hezbollah. IDF soldiers opened fire on Hezbollah terrorists entering the Lebanese village of Kfar Kela, which overlooks the Israeli town of Medusa. That's the northernmost town in Israel. Sharon and I, our friends Doug Van Dorn, Janelle Van Dorn, actually visited Medusa last year in March. We visited the Waters of Weeping. This is mentioned in the book of 1 Enoch, where Enoch was tasked by God with delivering his judgment to the weeping watchers. They were sorry they got caught. Anyway, there's a park there that scholars believe was what was in the mind of the author of 1 Enoch. And so we went through Medusa to get there, and you can see Lebanon. It's like from here to the end of the barn almost, just across a valley, fences on both sides, but it's an easy shot, even for somebody who's not a marksman. The whole point of the ceasefire negotiated between, and it's important to note that this is between the government of Lebanon and the government of Israel. Hezbollah is not a signatory to this ceasefire, and the government of Lebanon has no control over Hezbollah. The government of Lebanon was supposed to help enforce UN Resolution 1701, which was passed back in 2006. UNIFIL, the United Nations interim force in Lebanon, which has been interim in Lebanon since 1978, was supposed to help enforce this and keep Hezbollah and other armed Arab groups away from Israel's border. Obviously, they've done nothing. As I said yesterday, actually the UN probably worse than useless, because there's evidence to suggest that they're actually complicit in all of this. Anyway, Hezbollah breaking the ceasefire by re-entering this area. They're supposed to stay north of the Litani River, which is 18 miles north of the border with Israel. Under this agreement, Israel will gradually withdraw its forces from south of the Litani River back across the Israeli border, and then the United States will promote negotiations between Israel and Lebanon to reach a recognized land border. But again, since Hezbollah is not part of this deal, this agreement is basically worthless, as we've already seen. Meanwhile, Israel seized weapons recently originating in Iran, intended to aim to arm terrorists, that is, arm terrorists in the Jenin area of Judea and Samaria. That's what the world calls the West Bank. Subsequently, another location revealed with a cache of weapons as part of the operation. Israeli forces confiscated rockets, 40 powerful Claymore explosives, bombs, mortar launchers, sniper rifles, and additional weapons. And while this is going on, the Sanhedrin, yes, the reconstituted Sanhedrin, it was pulled back together in the year 2004, has made an official ruling calling on Jews around the world to return to Israel. The ruling intended for Jews worldwide, recorded in English, Hebrew, Yiddish, French, and Spanish. Now, there are questions as to how much influence the Sanhedrin actually has with Jews these days. So I just bring it to you just as a mile marker that we are approaching a time when the world comes against Israel. And that is item number 4 today. As we are seeing the world against Israel here in the United States, even though we see it in prophecy, with the prophecies of the world coming against Jerusalem in the books of Jeremiah and in Amos and so forth, Joel, it is still a bit of a shock when we see the world mobilizing against Israel right in front of our eyes. Here in the United States, And I will add this, especially when some of those that propagate this unbiblical, anti-Jewish sentiment are self-professing Christians. But I digress. A coalition of radical anti-Israel groups is planning to disrupt things across the United States over the Thanksgiving holiday. They're calling this a global escalation. It describes itself as a collective effort from people who share the understanding that we must urgently step up our actions to stop this genocide, end quote. Now, they throw that term genocide around rather loosely by all measures. I mean, statistically, there are far fewer civilians who are being caught as collateral damage in the fighting between Israel and Hamas, Israel and Hezbollah, than in any previous war that involved urban warfare. But facts don't matter when you're propagating these kind of ideas. As Prime Minister Netanyahu said the other day in a video message condemning the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant, that it is the policy of Hamas and Hezbollah to put civilians in harm's way, and that's why civilians are being caught. Israel is again and again announcing in advance, we're planning to attack this Hamas weapons cache or this Hezbollah command center. Move out of the way. In no previous war will you find an example of this kind of thing. The United States certainly didn't do it to Germany in World War II. Anyway, these activists are going to protest in cities across the U.S. Cities listed in this protest apparently include New York, Chicago, Sacramento, Denver, and Charleston, South Carolina. In Charleston, for example, a participating anti-Israel group planning to start a car caravan to interrupt business as usual through the central arteries of the city. In Chicago, local chapters of the Palestinian American Council, Students for Justice in Palestine, and American Muslims for Palestine will protest at a large shopping mall to, quote, reject capitalist holidays, end quote. In other words, they're going to try to disrupt Black Friday because nothing says free, free Palestine like getting between shoppers and their Black Friday sales. Make no mistake, this has nothing to do with Arabs. This has nothing to do with Jews. This is all about creating chaos. It's Marxism, which is what chaos is its goal. And of course, Marxism is fundamentally, if you read the writings of Karl Marx, it is fundamentally anti-Jewish. Topic number 3, World War III. Europe warned to prepare for war. Top NATO military official on Monday urging businesses to prepare for a wartime scenario by adjusting their production and distribution lines, making them less vulnerable to blackmail by Russia and China. Dutch Admiral Rob Bauer said, if we can make sure that all crucial services and goods can be delivered no matter what, then that is a key part of our deterrence. Now, this is just good policy no matter what. We should not be depending on China for our critical ingredients for our pharmaceuticals or for steel or for key electronic components. And yet, because of greed, our manufacturers, our political and business leaders have been captured by the Chinese because they can make a bigger profit by buying cheap in China. But of course, that also makes our supply lines vulnerable to disruption. That's not the kind of thing you can turn a supply line and switch it on a dime. So whether we go to war or not, I agree with Admiral Bauer. Yes, let us please start buying things and making things here at home again. And that goes for Europe as well. Topic number 2, pagans in Oklahoma. Outrage growing in Oklahoma after a priestess of the goddess, that's what she called herself, delivered a pagan prayer at a city council meeting in Tulsa last week. Not the kind of thing you'd expect, although I'm not familiar with the Tulsa region particularly. I do know that the state of Oklahoma generally pretty conservative. An independent media outlet called the Oklahoma Lion released a video of the council meeting over the weekend. Tulsa City Council member Krista Patrick, seen in the video actively participating, holding her hands up during the pagan invocation. Not confirmed if she's the one who invited the pagan priestess to deliver this prayer. The woman reciting the invocation doesn't mention Satan, but does mention Medusa and other Greek figures. We call it mythology, but actually it's the ancient Greek religion. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt wrote on X, quote, Satan is trying to establish a foothold, but Oklahoma is going to be a shining city on the hill. Tulsa City Council needs to stand strong against actions like this, and Tulsans need to remember who allowed this at the ballot box, end quote. Now, I understand his sentiment, but as Christians, remember, we have a weapon even more powerful than the vote. Pray for this woman, and pray for those who likewise have been deceived by the enemy. Coming up, we say goodbye to a giant among students and scholars of Bible prophecy, and just 2 days until Skywatch TV launches its next virtual conference, Joe Artis Horn's presentation. Let me tell you about that straight ahead on 5 and 10.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we need the grassroots support of our Skywatch TV family to help us get the Rescue Us series out to as many people as we possibly can. This information is being suppressed, deleted, deplatformed, taken down, and is way too sobering for most network television outlets. We need you to get involved. We need you to join us in the efforts to get this series in front of your friends, your pastors, people of influence in government, your communities, anybody and everybody. Help us share this series not only to illuminate the many, many ways that we're losing an entire generation of children to intolerable darkness, but also to assist in the raising of an army of God's people willing to stand in the gap for them. The Rescue Us series shows the viewer what can be done by absolutely anybody willing to say, yes, Lord, I will answer the call. I will intervene for those who have no voice and for those who desperately need help. And that's why right now we're asking you to stand with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to introduce the Rescue Us special offer. For your donation of only $49.99, you'll not only receive a copy of the entire 6-DVD docuseries Rescue Us that uncovers the massive crisis destroying an entire generation of youth, all while challenging each one of us to rise up for our nation's most vulnerable and break the cycle of abuse. But you'll also receive the brand new documentary, Rescued, Samantha's Story, where Samantha Orr personally takes you through her nightmarish childhood of unthinkable trauma and abuse to her total restoration in the arms of Jesus Christ. But friends, that's not all. Right now, while supplies last, we're also including in this special opportunity the 4-hour audio series on disc, The Hidden Occultism of Epstein's Orgy Island by the late Dr. Thomas Horn, Silent Cry, The Darker Side of Trafficking featuring Yaku Bouillons, Ilanka Deaton, Dr. Thomas Horn, and others, and the major motion picture movie Camp on DVD that showcases what God can do in the life of a child desperate in need of rescuing through ministries like Royal Family Kids and is inspired by true events. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of $200. Yours now for your donation of only $49.99, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. But ladies and gentlemen, we are so committed to this message reaching as many viewers as is humanly possible that we want to equip you, our grassroots army of Skywatch TV friends and family members, with an opportunity to partner with us like never before. Join us in spreading this invaluable message through the Rescue Us Partner Pack, where you'll receive 5 copies of each of the items we just mentioned for your donation of only $165. That's right, when you order the special Rescue Us Partner Pack, you'll receive 5 copies of the entire 6-DVD docuseries Rescue Us, 5 copies of Rescued, Samantha's Story, 5 copies of The Hidden Occultism of Epstein's Orgy Island, 5 copies of Silent Cry, The Darker Side of Trafficking, and 5 copies of the major motion picture movie Camp on DVD. This massive collection of documentaries, audio series, and movies holds a retail value of $1,000. Yours now for your donation of only $165. With 5 complete copies of everything in the collection, that allows you to keep 1 for you and your family and 4 entire sets to share with people that you believe will also be inspired to stand up in defense of God's greatest gift to us, our children. Remember, your donation helps Skywatch TV continue to get this important message to the four corners of the world. You can also stream the entire Rescue Us series and/or Samantha's story right now at skywatchtvstore.com/stream. So act quickly. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. Visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Rescue Us special offer or the Rescue Us Partner Pack right now.
Item number one today, Hal Lindsey has been called home by the Lord. He passed away just 2 days ago, and that was just 2 days after he turned 95 years of age. As the Bible said, he lived to a good old age, and no doubt he is hearing the words, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Lindsey's best known as the author of The Late Great Planet Earth, published in 1970. It's a book that made end times Bible prophecy accessible to many, many people who previously had not studied the book of Revelation or any of the Old Testament books that John was clearly familiar with. He also had a long-time media ministry analyzing world events in light of Bible prophecy. We don't agree with all of his conclusions, but we honor him as one who encouraged all of us to read the book of Revelation, which is the only book in the Bible for which we are promised a blessing for reading. So Hal Lindsey, and by the way, I've got to recommend his book, The Road to Holocaust. Longtime viewer named George Brewer sent me a copy of that book years ago. Thank you, George. I still appreciate that. That book, The Road to Holocaust by Hal Lindsey, really outlines the dangers of the belief that we Christians have replaced Israel in end times prophecy. Because if we have replaced Israel, then Israel is just an obstacle to the Lord's return and to setting up his kingdom. And again, we are seeing a lot of that sentiment right now, especially on social media, from self-professing Christians. Hal Lindsey was warning about this 20 years ago. So again, Late Great Planet Earth, The Road to Holocaust, add those to your reference library. And we pray for the Lindsey family in this time of sorrow. This weekend, we launched the Skywatch TV virtual conference, The Resurrection War. This will go live on the web at 12:01 a.m. Central Time. That's UTC-6. And you'll have access to a couple dozen presentations and speakers who are right at the cutting edge of research, writing, preaching, teaching, and so on. And Joe Horn, his presentation from the Ohio Go Therefore conference back in July at Brookville, Ohio, that will be one of the presentations included in this package. He talks about the docuseries Rescue Us and why we at Skywatch TV are so passionate about children at risk. I tell you, and I'm not exaggerating, that presentation alone is worth registering for this conference because it is, just have something to dry your eyes close to you. And if you are not moved at the end of that presentation, then I don't know what to tell you. But this is clearly something that's really on Joe's heart. And it's rare that you see a presentation and a presenter who just basically leave everything out there at the podium. So the Resurrection War, we've added also about 3.5 hours of bonus content, not just my 2-hour presentation on the secret history of Israel, but also another 1.5-hour presentation on the occult origins of ancient aliens. So that to go along with all of the other presentations there. Again, you can sign up now and get access to all of this content for 90 days, beginning Saturday, 12:01 a.m. If you sign up after Saturday, you still get 90 days access. Kind of cool. More information and registration at defenderconference.com, defenderconference.com. Well, Rescue Us is the subject of this week's Skywatch TV broadcast program. Joe Artis Horn sharing a preview of the 6-part docuseries Rescue Us on children at risk. I was honored to sit on the panel. We also had with us a young lady who was featured in the series. And her story itself is just absolutely phenomenal. You'll hear that in an upcoming episode. Watch the program right now at our website, skywatchtv.com. All of our video content always there. You can also watch the broadcast program. Our broadcast schedule is posted at skywatchtv.com/channels. If you got a set-top box, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, make sure you've got the Skywatch TV app installed. If you got a smart TV with Roku or Amazon Fire TV already installed, well, add it to your TV then, because all of our video content is there. You can also watch it on the internet, YouTube, at Skywatch Television or rumble.com/Skywatch TV, or better yet, guarantee we never get canceled, because Rescue Us and the subject matter thereof has gotten us canceled on some social media platforms. Steps on some toes, apparently. But if you download our free mobile app to your smartphone or tablet, that'll never happen. We've got it available for iOS, Android, Amazon Kindle Fire phones and tablets. Links to our app stores at skywatchtv.com/app. Follow 5 in 10 online. We're at YouTube at 5 in 10. Please subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, and then also follow us on X at 5_in_10. And remember, tomorrow and Friday, because of the Thanksgiving holiday, there will be no programs. We'll be back on Monday, God willing, with a new program. And until then, have a blessed holiday weekend, and thank you for watching. As we keep watch, I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.